There comes a moment in every journey when the soul feels worn thin, when the burden is too heavy and hope hangs by the thinnest thread, when the night seems endless, when the storm shows no sign of ending. We ask in quiet despair, God, are you still here? And I say to you, yes, he is nearer than you believe. Before breakthrough arrives, before blessings overflow, before promises unfold, God sends signals, not loud ones, not flashing neon signs, but holy whispers that stir something deep inside. Subtle movements of his spirit, footprints of heaven pressed into the soil of your life. These moments are not accidental. They are divine signs, proof that God is already working behind the scenes, arranging everything for what your heart hasn't even dared to dream. Because God never acts without purpose. He never speaks without meaning. And when your world seems to collapse, when clarity fades, when doors close, when all that's familiar crumbles, hear this truth. God is not punishing you. He is positioning you before every breakthrough. There is often a breaking. He permits the discomfort, the disruption, the shaking, not to harm you, but to separate you from what cannot come with you into your next season. The delay is not his denial. It is his divine alignment. When you are stretched, when heaven is silent, when you wonder if God has turned away, that's often the very moment he's holding you closer than ever before. The silence is not distance. It is preparation, because what comes next will require the kind of faith forged in fire and the kind of strength that grows only in stillness. Before God releases abundance, he often tests your faith in scarcity. He watches to see if you trust him when you have nothing, so he can bless you with more than you imagine. Many complain when the pressure mounts, but the pressure is proof that God is working beneath the surface. Just as a seed must be buried in darkness before it can break through the soil and rise toward the sun, your spirit must endure pressure before it can rise into purpose. When the pressure increases, it's not the end, it is the beginning of something greater. God is not finished with you, he's just getting started. And one of the first signs that God is about to bring breakthrough is isolation. He separates you from certain people. He removes distractions. He quiets the noise around you. You may feel lonely, but you are not alone. God is calling you to himself. He is preparing you in private before revealing you in public. Some people were never meant to go with you into your destiny. So don't weep when they leave. Don't beg them to stay. God removes who he must to protect the promise he placed within you. Let them go. God has already seen what's coming and knows they cannot handle what he's about to do in your life. Another sign that God is near breakthrough is spiritual unrest. You begin to feel restless. Things that once satisfied you no longer do. You begin to long for more meaning, more depth, more purpose. That is not anxiety. That is not dissatisfaction. That is the Spirit of God stirring your soul. You are being awakened from spiritual slumber. God is drawing you into a new season and making you uncomfortable in the old one. Notice the unease. That discomfort is divine. It is the sign that God is shifting the atmosphere around you, tearing down old mindsets and building new strength within you. Sometimes before a breakthrough, everything seems to fall apart in your life. The attacks intensify. The stress grows. Those you trusted turn against you. It feels as if the enemy is winning. But listen, the enemy only fights what he fears. If your life is under attack, it's because your breakthrough is near. The closer you get to what God has for you, the louder the opposition becomes. Do not fear. Do not retreat. Do not let fear paralyze you. God has not led you this far to abandon you. Now stand firm. This storm is not meant to destroy you. It is meant to reveal the warrior inside you. There is a spiritual pattern to every breakthrough, and often it follows a season of complete exhaustion. when you are tired, when you are worn out, when you have nothing left to give, that's when God steps in with His power. Your strength ends where His begins. Sometimes God waits for your hands to release so His hands can take over. You were never meant to carry the load alone. You were never meant to fight every battle in your own strength. Let God take control. Surrender is not weakness, it is wisdom. God does His greatest work through surrendered hearts. And listen closely. Before a major shift, God will send confirmations. You'll hear the same message in various places. You'll get that call unexpectedly. You'll see signs, phrases, or dreams that align with your spirit. That is not imagination. That is revelation. That is how God speaks when your mind is finally quiet enough to listen. Do not dismiss those divine nudges. They are not random. They are God's way of saying, keep going. You're almost there. When God starts repeating Himself, take notice. He is about to do something sudden, something swift, something supernatural. Another sign God is preparing you for breakthrough is delay. You prayed, you waited, you did all you could, yet nothing changed. But what seems like delay is often divine protection. If God gave you what you asked for too soon, it would overwhelm you. Sometimes God withholds what you want to preserve who you are. He matures you in the wait. He builds your character. He stretches your patience. And when you are ready, He releases the blessing. And it will not be small. It will be exceedingly abundantly above all you could ask or think. But the burden is the weight of glory settling over your life. Bear it with faith. Do not ignore the stirring in your soul. When God begins exposing truth around you, those you trusted may show their true colors. Opportunities may collapse. What seemed perfect might fall apart. But what breaks down was never built on God's foundation. When He brings truth to light, it is because He is clearing the way for what is real, what is right, and what is rooted in His will. Let truth sting, if it must, because it will set you free. Before breakthrough, God always brings exposure, not to harm you, but to heal you, to reveal what you could not see before. Trust Him in the revealing. And often before breakthrough, your faith will be tested not by comfort, but by chaos. Will you still believe when nothing makes sense? Will you still praise when the pain is heavy? Will you still obey when you don't understand? That is when true faith is born. Not in the light, but in the dark. That is where trust is forged, in the fire, not on the mountaintop. If you are in the fire now, don't despair. God is with you in the flames. He will not let you be consumed. You are not being punished, you are being purified. The enemy wants you to believe that because it's hard. God is distant, but that is a lie. Hard seasons are often holy seasons. Painful times are often prophetic. When everything seems against you, that's often when God is closest. The battle you face is not a sign of His absence. It's a sign of your anointing. You are being prepared. And what you carry is heavy because it is holy. Do not despise the struggle. It is shaping you. It is stretching you. It is making room for the breakthrough that is coming. Sometimes the sign God is about to move is not in what changes, but what remains the same. That quiet peace in your soul that doesn't make sense. That unshakable resolve to keep going even when your legs tremble. That strength you find to smile through tears. That is not your strength. That is God inside you whispering, I'm not done yet. And if God is not done, neither are you. You may stand at the edge of the Red Sea with Pharaoh behind and water ahead, but God is about to part the waters. He is the God of sudden miracles. He is the God of last-minute victories. He is never late. He is always right on time. Do not miss the sign of uncommon favor. When doors open that should have stayed closed, when resources appear out of nowhere, When strangers bless you and opportunities come without your effort, that is God's fingerprint on your situation. He is making a way where there was no way. Do not doubt God's favor just because it feels unfamiliar. The unfamiliar is often the unfamiliar hand of God leading you to places you could not reach on your own. Trust Him even when it's new. Trust Him when it's different. Because where He leads you, no man can block it. No enemy can stop it. No weapon will prosper against it. Even your tears are a sign. Every tear you've shed, every silent scream, every prayer whispered through trembling lips, God has gathered them all. He has not ignored your cries. He has not turned away. Those tears have watered the seeds of your breakthrough. Do not think they were wasted. They were offerings. They were sacrifices of faith. And in due time you will reap if you do not faint. God is not unjust to forget your labor, your faithfulness, your long night. The reward is coming. The shift is coming. The release is near. And just when you feel weakest, just when you think you cannot endure another moment, that is when it happens. The breakthrough, the moment everything shifts, the moment the burden lifts, the moment God opens the floodgates and blessings pour so abundantly, you cannot contain them. But you had to pass through the fire. You had to walk through the storm. You had to endure the silence, because only then could you bear the weight of the glory about to fall on your life. And when the breakthrough comes, it will come in a way that leaves no doubt. It was God and God alone. Not luck, not coincidence, not connections, but divine intervention that overturned every obstacle, silenced every critic, and raised you beyond what anyone believed possible. Because God does not bless just moderately, He blesses in abundance. He does not merely answer prayers, He surpasses them. He does not just open doors, He breaks gates of bronze and snaps bars of iron. That is the kind of God you serve. A God who waits until the odds are against you, so that when victory comes, only He can receive the glory. But there is something deeper you must understand. Before a breakthrough, God will test your obedience. Not in grand acts, but in the small, quiet choices. Will you still pray when you feel unheard? Will you still give when you feel empty? Will you still be kind when others are harsh? That is the furnace where trust is refined. God watches what you do in private before He rewards you in public. He watches how you manage the little before He gives you much. And those who are faithful in little are entrusted with much, not because they are perfect, but because they trusted Him in the shadows. And let me tell you, God often allows chaos just before clarity. Confusion may rise, plans may collapse, and the familiar may disappear. But all of it is part of divine construction. Sometimes God allows everything around you to fall apart so He can rebuild your life His way, not yours. You prayed for elevation, but elevation requires excavation. He must remove the wrong foundations, the pride, the fear, the dependence on others, so that when He builds you up, no storm can knock you down. God does not deal in temporary fixes. He seeks total transformation. Another clear sign that a breakthrough is near is when you start losing interest in things that once entertained you. What once thrilled you now feels hollow. What once pleased your flesh now grieves your spirit. That is not depression. That is spiritual awakening. That is God detaching you from what is beneath your calling. He is making room for what is holy. He is replacing superficial pleasures with deep wells of purpose. He is changing your appetite because your destiny requires a stronger diet. You cannot feast on the empty and expect to walk in power. So when your desires shift, do not resist it. That is God cultivating your hunger for higher things. And sometimes just before the breakthrough, you will face a test of your identity. The enemy will whisper lies telling you that you are not good enough, not strong enough, not chosen. But those are not your thoughts. Those are fiery arrows aimed at your destiny. When you feel like quitting most, that is when God is closest. That is when He is testing if you will believe what He said over what you feel. Remember, your feelings are temporary, but God's word over your life is eternal. If He said He would deliver, He will. If He said He would provide, He will. If He said He would restore, He will. Let every man be a liar, but let God remain true. And I must warn you, before your breakthrough, your patience will be tested to its very limit. The weight will feel unbearable. You will look around and see others receiving their blessings while you feel stuck. But listen closely. Comparison is the thief of gratitude. What God has for you cannot be rushed and cannot be stolen. What is coming is tailor-made for you. It's not delayed, it's in process. You are not forgotten. You are being formed. Trust God's timing. He is never early and never late. And while you wait, worship. Worship even if you don't feel like it. Because worship is warfare. Worship confuses the enemy. Worship invites God's power to your situation. God will often send a sudden increase in resistance before your major breakthrough. Everything becomes harder. Your energy feels drained. Your dreams feel distant. The pressure feels unbearable. But pressure is a prophecy. It is the sign that you are about to give birth to something great. A mother experiences the most pain not in the early stages of pregnancy, but right before the baby is born. That final push is the hardest, but it is also the most necessary. You are closer than you think. Don't give up. Push through. God is about to bring forth what you've carried in secret for so long. And hear this truth. God will never give you a blessing that you aren't ready to protect. That is why the preparation season feels lonely. That is why it feels like no one understands, because God is not only preparing the blessing for you, He is preparing you for the blessing. If He gave it to you too soon, it would slip through your fingers. But now, after all the pressure, all the pruning, all the humbling, you are ready. You've been trained in silence, forged in the fire, molded by hardship. And when the breakthrough comes, you will not only receive it, you will know how to guard it, preserve it, and multiply it. And don't be surprised when God begins to give you dreams and visions that don't make sense to anyone else. He's giving you glimpses of where you're headed, not where you are. Hold on to those dreams. Even if others laugh, even if others doubt, God didn't show them to them. He showed them to you. Your vision is not a delusion, and it is a divine instruction. Speak it over your life. Declare it in prayer. Walk in it even when there's no proof, because proof comes after obedience. God doesn't give dreams to tease you. He gives them to prepare you. Stay faithful to what He showed you. And there's something you need to know about breakthrough. It often begins with a breakdown. God will allow what is false to fall apart. He will let the imitation collapse because He wants to replace it with what is authentic. Don't mourn what God removes. What you lost was never going to take you where you're going. God doesn't subtract unless He plans to multiply. And when He rebuilds, it will be better, stronger, more rooted, and more blessed. Let the breaking come. Let the shaking come. It's not the end. It's the beginning of your rise. And then there is the quiet moment, the stillness before the change, when everything seems paused, no movement, no answer, no sign, and yet that is when God is working most intensely. Just like seeds are planted in silence and babies grow in the womb, unseen. God's work in your spirit is often hidden before it is revealed. Don't mistake quietness for abandonment. Don't mistake stillness for absence. God is doing what only He can do in the background, behind the scenes, beyond your understanding. And when it emerges, it will be sudden, it will be overwhelming, and it will be undeniably from God. So if you feel like you're hanging by a thread, hold on. If you feel forgotten, press forward. If the burden feels unbearable, cry out, but don't quit. You are standing on the edge of breakthrough. The signs are there. The stirring is there. The shift is near. And when it comes, it will make sense why it took so long, why it was so hard, and why it had to happen this way. Because God is not just giving you what you prayed for. He's giving you more than you imagine. And do not overlook this. Before the breakthrough, God will often isolate you. He will pull you away from the crowds, from distractions, from unnecessary noise. He will remove people who no longer serve your purpose, even those you thought would always be with you. It is not punishment, it is positioning. God cannot elevate you while you're still holding on to what is beneath your calling. He will take you to the wilderness, where it's just you and Him, so your ears can finally hear His voice clearly, so your heart can finally beat in rhythm with His will. You may feel lonely, but you're never alone. God does His deepest work in solitude. And when that silence surrounds you, do not fear it. That is when you are drawn into deeper intimacy with God. He is quieting the world so your soul can listen. He is silencing distractions so your spirit can awaken. Many people run from that silence, but those who embrace it discover hidden strength. They find clarity the world cannot offer, peace that logic cannot explain, and direction that only comes from the Creator of all things. When God begins to still everything around you, it's not to abandon you. It is to reveal what only stillness can reveal. Another undeniable sign that God is preparing a breakthrough is when your heart becomes restless with your current environment. You start feeling like you no longer belong in the places you once settled. You outgrow the conversations, the habits, the comforts. This restlessness is sacred. It is divine discomfort. God is stirring your spirit because He is preparing you to transition. He is closing chapters so He can write new ones. That inner agitation is proof your current space is too small for the next version of who God is calling you to be. Don't try to fit where you no longer belong. Let God uproot you and plant you in fertile soil. And yes, with every great shift comes opposition. When you are on the verge of breakthrough, you will face increased spiritual resistance. Challenges will come against you with greater force, but do not be alarmed. This is not a sign of failure. It is a sign of progress. The enemy does not attack what isn't a threat. If you're under attack, it means your destiny is causing tremors in the spirit. And the same God who protected you before will defend you again. God does not call you to fight in your own strength. He clothes you in spiritual armor. He surrounds you with divine power and goes before you as a consuming fire. Victory is not a possibility. It is guaranteed when God is with you. And when the breakthrough is near, you will begin to see things differently. What once made you anxious no longer shakes you. What once intimidated you no longer controls you. That change in perspective is divine. God is expanding your vision. He's giving you sight to see beyond your current struggle into the realm of purpose. He's helping you realize that the trial wasn't meant to destroy you, but to train you. And now, with new eyes, you begin to thank God for what you once wept over. You start to praise Him for the things you didn't understand then, because hindsight becomes sacred when viewed through faith. Sometimes, just before the breakthrough, God will let you face your deepest fears. He will bring you face to face with what you've been avoiding, not to shame you, but to set you free. You cannot enter new territory while chained by old fears. God won't let you bring bondage into a place of blessing. So He brings it to the surface. He makes you confront it, because He's not just focused on changing your life. He wants to transform your heart. He wants to make you fearless, not reckless, but unshakable, grounded, rooted in confidence that when God is for you, nothing can truly be against you. And let it be known, when the time appointed by God arrives, no man, no system, no force in the heavens or on earth can prevent what He has ordained. What God declares shall come to pass. And when God says now, even the walls of impossibility tremble. Mountains that stood tall for years crumble in moments. Burdens that felt like boulders are lifted like feathers. What seemed delayed was never denied. It was being perfected. God's timing is not slow. It is sovereign. And those who wait upon him, those who do not grow weary in the night, will soar when the morning breaks. Before a major breakthrough, God may bring you to a place where you must confront the truth about yourself, not for shame, but for elevation. For God cannot fill a vessel that is already full of pride, ego, self-sufficiency. So he empties you not to abandon you, but to prepare you. The hollow places in your soul are not weaknesses. They are chambers waiting for God's wisdom, his peace, his direction. He brings you to humility because it is in humility that power is born. He breaks you open so that his light may shine through the cracks. The wound becomes the window where glory is revealed. And in this divine process, you may begin to feel misunderstood even by those closest to you. They may not see the fire God is igniting in your spirit. They may question your silence, your decisions, your detachment, but do not lower yourself to be understood by those who were never meant to walk in your shoes. God often births greatness in hidden places in secret, away from the noise. He cultivates purpose in the shadows so that when he finally brings it to light, no one can claim they made it happen. Only God gets the glory. And yes, as the breakthrough approaches, something will change in the way you carry yourself. Not arrogance, but assurance. You'll walk not in fear, but in quiet confidence. Because there's a knowing, a sacred certainty that no matter what is happening around you, God is orchestrating something beyond comprehension. Your steps will be ordered. Your speech will be seasoned. Your mind will be at peace even in chaos. Because once you've trusted God through the dark, no amount of noise can shake what he's established within you. And oh, how often before the breakthrough comes, a shaking. God will shake everything that is unstable. He will shake relationships that are not rooted in truth. He will shake foundations that were built on human plans, not to destroy you, but to fortify you. Because when he builds to last. When he blesses, it cannot be uprooted. So don't fear the shaking. It is a sign that God is removing the counterfeit to make room for the authentic. The temporary is being displaced so the eternal can take root. God is not just preparing a breakthrough for you. He is preparing you for the breakthrough. He is developing character that can carry the blessing. He is stretching your faith so it can hold the weight of what is coming. If he gave it to you too soon, it would crush you. But because he loves you, he waits until you are ready. Not just in your desire, but in your discipline. Not just in your prayer, but in your preparation. When God sees that your foundation is strong, then and only then will he release what he has stored up for you. And sometimes the breakthrough doesn't look like what you imagine. You prayed for a door to open, and God gave you the strength to build your own. You asked for escape, and God gave you endurance. You begged for peace, and he gave you power in the storm. This too is breakthrough. For God's ways are higher than our ways, and his thoughts are not limited to our understanding. If he doesn't answer how you expect it, it's because he's doing better than you expect. Trust him, not just when the answer is yes, but even when the answer is wait. And when your eyes begin to open, you will realize how much God has been protecting you. How many times he blocked things you never knew were threats. He preserved your mind while the enemy tried to corrupt it. He shielded your path when snares were laid before you. He assigned angels where your physical strength was not enough. He spoke through whispers in your spirit, leading you away from destruction, pulling you toward purpose. And every time you obeyed, even without understanding, you aligned yourself with a higher plan. That's the beauty of God's presence. It leads, it guards, it delivers. So if you are weary, take heart. If you are tired of waiting, take courage. God has not forgotten you. The very fact that you are still standing, still seeking, still praying is proof that God is not done. And when you least expect it, suddenly it will happen. Suddenly the door will open. Suddenly the burden will lift. Suddenly the resources will arrive. Suddenly the right voice will speak. Not by your doing, but by the hand of God. And it will be undeniable. You won't need to convince anyone. The transformation will speak for itself. And let this sink deep into your soul. When God does it, it will be done so completely, so thoroughly, that you will no longer remember the struggle with sorrow, but with sacred reverence. You will say, it was necessary. Every tear, every trial, every test, it was all part of God's design, and others will see you not just for who you are, but for what you endured. Your life will become a living testament that God does not forsake those who wait on Him, that He honors those who remain faithful, that He lifts up those who trust even when they cannot trace Him. Keep watching, keep listening, keep believing, for the signs are all around you. The stretching, the silence, the sudden opposition, the separation, the restlessness, they are not signs of chaos, they are signs of construction. God is building. God is aligning. God is about to reveal what He has been working on in the secret place. And when it comes forth, it will be perfect. Not because it is without flaw, but because it is in the exact form God intended for your purpose, your calling, and your future. So now, my beloved, I leave you with this truth that burns with divine fire. If you are standing on the edge of despair, if the weight of life feels unbearable, if silence surrounds you like a storm with no end, know this: you are closer than you've ever been. Closer to the moment God reveals why it had to be this way. Closer to the unfolding of what your pain has been preparing. Closer to the divine breakthrough that will not only lift you, but awaken something eternal in you. What you're carrying is not ordinary. It is sacred. What you're fighting through is not punishment, it is preparation. What you're waiting on is not lost. It is being perfectly arranged by the one who holds time and eternity in His hands. Now is the moment to stand firm in your faith. Now is the hour to stop doubting, to stop shrinking, to stop rehearsing the past. Let go of the fear that has changed your decisions. Let go of the guilt that has silenced your prayers. Let go of the people who cannot go with you where God is leading. God has brought you too far for you to live in the shadows of your former self. You are not here to survive. You are here to fulfill a purpose written by the hand of God before you ever took your first breath. And that purpose is greater than your past, stronger than your pain, and more beautiful than anything you've imagined. Search your heart. Cleanse it of anything that dims your connection to God. Make space for Him, not just in your schedule, but in your soul. Let your thoughts be guarded by His wisdom. Let your steps be directed by His signs. Let your words carry the weight of truth. For in every moment of your day, God is speaking. In every challenge, He is shaping. In every delay, He is working. And if you dare to live fully surrendered, fully trusting, fully grounded in God's plan, you will walk not just in breakthrough, but in divine power. And I say to you with all the urgency of a soul that has tasted the goodness of God, wake up, rise up, shake the dust off your spirit. The time of hiding is over. The time of shrinking is done. You were not created to live in fear. You are not formed by the hands of the eternal just to blend in, give up, or fade away. You are called to walk in power, clarity, and holy purpose. You are called to become a vessel of light in a world drowning in shadow. And that light is not from you. It is from God burning through you like a fire that cannot be quenched. Lift your head, square your shoulders, speak the truth, even if your voice trembles. Pray like heaven is listening, because it is. Move as if God is behind you, because He is. And when the next storm rises, do not ask, why me? Ask, what is God building through this? Because if he allowed it, he intends to use it. If he let it touch you, he plans to bless you through it. There is no battle wasted. There is no tear unseen. There is no waiting unnoticed. God is not silent. He is strategic. And when it all aligns, the very pain that tried to destroy you will bow before the purpose that now defines you. Go forward with boldness, not in your strength, but in God's. Speak with authority, not from ego, but from divine conviction. Love deeper, forgive quicker, walk humbly. Keep your eyes on God. Let him be your guide, your fortress, your everything. Do not look to man for validation. Do not seek applause from those who cannot see the vision. All that you are, all that you will become, rests in God's hand. I mean, he never fails. He never falters. He never lies. He is not moved by circumstances. He moves circumstances, and he is about to do a new thing in your life. So live with expectation, live with purity, live with complete surrender. Let your life preach a quiet, unwavering truth. When you place your trust fully in God, you lack nothing. And as you wait, not in frustration, but in faith, worship like it's already finished. Because in the realm of heaven, it is already finished. The doors are already opening, the chains already breaking, the way already cleared. So walk with that assurance. Stand in the fire with your head held high. And never forget, when God is the one who lifts you, no force on earth can bring you down. Let your life declare that no matter what storms rage, no matter what ground shakes, your faith remains steady. That through every breath, step, and beat of your heart, you will move boldly toward his whisper. Because where God leads, victory is not optional. It is inevitable. And where God dwells, nothing is impossible. So live ready, live trusting, live as one who knows. The best is yet to be revealed. My dear friends, hear me now, not with your ears, but with your soul. For I speak with fire in my spirit and thunder in my bones. Be ready. God's greatest opportunity for your life is not distant. It's not years away. It's near, closer than you think, already forming behind the veil. This is not the time to sleep. This is not the hour for hesitation or half-hearted faith. This is the season to sharpen your discernment, purify your motives, align your life with heaven's rhythm. Because when God moves, he moves suddenly. And only the prepared will hear the whisper. Only the watchful will see the sign. Some of you have been pressing in, praying, fasting, crying quietly, enduring the waiting, wondering when the heavens will open. You've walked through deserts, tasted sorrow, sat in silence, but your faith has not died. And I tell you this, not by feeling, but by divine conviction. The silence was not rejection, it was preparation. The delay was not abandonment, it was divine alignment. What lies ahead, if you are ready, will make your past pain seem a shadow compared to the light about to break in. But listen closely. God does not place destiny in the hands of those still clutching the past. He does not pour power into vessels cracked by fear. Let go of the fear that keeps you small. Let go of the identity the world gave you. Let go of the opinions that chained you. Let go of the lies worn like armor. Because God is not offering scraps, he's preparing you for a banquet. But if your spirit chases shadows, how will you sit at his table? This is the time. This is the hour. Rise, prepare, believe, because the doors are about to open, and only the ready will pass through. There is a stirring in the unseen. There is a movement in the heavenlies that eyes cannot see and ears cannot hear. It is the orchestration of your destiny. It is God aligning moments, conversations, encounters, even delays to collide at the perfect time and release what he has stored for you. But you must be prepared. You must live like you expect it. You must walk as if the opportunity is already here. Your preparation is your faith's demonstration. God is not moved by lip service. He is moved by spiritual stance. You know why many miss what God sends? Because they look for it in the wrong form. They want opportunity to come as applause, comfort, convenience. But sometimes God sends the greatest doors hidden behind adversity. He disguises blessing in burden. He wraps opportunity in discipline. Only those with eyes of faith will see beyond the disguise. You cannot wait to feel ready. You must be ready. You cannot wait until it makes sense. You must trust God's sense is higher than your logic. You may think, but I'm not qualified. Let me tell you boldly, God never asks for your qualifications. He asks only for your availability. He lifts the humble. He strengthens the weak. He crowns the faithful. Your background doesn't scare him. Your age doesn't limit him. Your scars don't disqualify you. God is not choosing the most popular. He's choosing the most prepared, not the loudest, not the flashiest, but those whose hearts are anchored, whose minds are sober, whose spirits awake. You don't need the world's approval when you have God's direction. You don't need man's applause when you stand under God's assignment. But hear me well, assignment comes with cost. God doesn't raise warriors in palaces. He trains them in wilderness. He builds character through rejection. He teaches patience through delay. He strengthens faith through battles. When appointed time comes, he reveals the prepared soul to a world that counted them out. So ask yourself today, are you prepared for what you've been praying for? Have you been faithful with what's in your hand, or buried your gifts in fear? Have you wasted time comparing, complaining, compromising, or sharpened your character, increased your discipline, deepened your prayer? Because opportunity exposes the prepared and unprepared. When God opens a door, he expects you to walk through, not wander in confusion. God owes no more warning. He owes no more signs. He's spoken. He's stirred your heart. He's whispered in your doubt. Now the season shifts. The wind changes. Those who discern the times will rise with the current. Those stuck in the past will miss the way. God calls you out not just to survive, but to step into the purpose you were born for. This opportunity isn't about money, fame, or comfort. It's about alignment with God's plan. It's about being the right vessel at the right moment for the right reason. Some are prepared to influence nations, others to restore families, some to speak truth in dark places. This is bigger than you. It's not about making a name, but lifting the purpose God placed in your bones before the world knew your name. Stop waiting for perfect. Stop waiting for belief. Stop waiting for feelings to align. Faith is not about feeling, it's about focus. Your focus must now be laser sharp. Eliminate distractions. Purge noise. Walk away from what weakens your spirit. God will not send his greatest opportunity into a life cluttered with confusion and compromise. He seeks those clean in conscience, steady in spirit, fierce in faith. You stand on edge of something unseen. But if chained to what you've always known, you'll sabotage the door before it opens. Your new season is calling. Can your mindset handle it? Will old habits destroy what God is building? This is why God delays, not to punish, but to prepare. He waits until your soul is fortified, spirit trained, character anchored. You cannot beg for rain and complain about storms. Sometimes God answers prayers in ways requiring work, patience, endurance. Only those trusting him in obscurity will be trusted with visibility. He will not give power to those craving attention, nor wisdom to hearts chasing validation. You must empty ego, purge pride, fill with purpose. Some are surrounded by noise, doubters, distractions, drama. God seeks your attention. He strips away what you thought you needed so you can see what matters. He removes people, places, patterns, keeping you stuck, because what's coming is holy, sacred, unable to be tainted by what's unclean. If you want to enter the next chapter, be willing to close the old one. You've been through too much to quit now. Cried too many tears to stop now. Survived what should have destroyed you. And you think God did all that just to leave you here? No. He preserved you for a reason. He kept your mind under attack. He covered your name when they tried to destroy it. He sustained your spirit when the enemy flooded in. Now is the time to rise, stand, step forward, ready. But readiness is not passive. It's active, intentional, discipline. Prepare habits, attitude, circle, vision. God's opportunity comes like a wave. You either ride it or get swept under. Move with the current or miss your moment. This is not the hour for fear. It's the hour for boldness, the time for sacred courage, the kind that steps into the unknown, trusting that if God is behind it, no man can stop it. Your preparation proves your faith. Every quiet choice in secret is a seed for the harvest you'll enter. Every no to temptation, every push through resistance, every time you press on without applause, God sees, God honors. At the right time, He rewards. You don't need to announce your preparation. Stay low, focused. Let results speak. When God elevates, no one questions the journey. Some expect God to show up as before, but God isn't about repetition. He's about transformation. He's not restoring old blessing. He's creating new. But can you see it? Can you stretch faith beyond familiarity? Believe enough in unseen to prepare like it's done. Divine connections are coming. Strategic doors, powerful partnerships, ideas unlocking legacy, but only for those in position. God won't force you into destiny. He will invite you. But only you can choose whether you will say yes with your life, not just your lips. Dust yourself off. Wipe away the tears. Silence the doubts. Gather your strength. Clear your space. Refocus your energy. Set your eyes on what is above. Because something sacred is coming. Something significant. Something that will demand all of you. Your mind, your will, your faith, your obedience. This is not the time to get lazy. This is not the time to drift. This is the time to lock in, to wake up, to move with urgency. Because when God says it's time, no one can delay it. But you must be ready when it arrives. God doesn't need a crowd to confirm your calling. He needs your heart aligned. He's not judging you by the world's standards. He's measuring your faith, your humility, your endurance. And when the opportunity comes, it will require everything you prepared in secret. So don't despise the waiting. Don't rush the process. Stay faithful. Stay focused. Stay ready. Because God's biggest opportunity is not just coming, it's nearly here. God is not looking for the loudest voice in the room. He is searching for the purest heart. The world celebrates noise, but God responds to truth. And if your heart is anchored in Him, if your motives are refined by obedience, if your desires are stripped of pride, then you are already set for what's next. God does not work by earthly calendars. He is not bound by clocks or deadlines. When He speaks a thing, it must come to pass. But He will not release it until the vessel is fully surrendered. So I urge you now, search your soul. Examine every corner of your life. Where are you holding on to things God told you to release? What burdens do you still carry that God offered to lift? The opportunity He is preparing is not a casual blessing. It is a divine shift. It will require purity of heart and clarity of purpose. You cannot step into what's coming with yesterday's mindset. You cannot hold on to old wounds and expect new wine to flow. The space must be made clean. The heart must be made still. The will must be made firm. There is a sacred weight to what God is preparing, and only those who have allowed Him to forge their character in the fire of discipline will carry it without being crushed. God is not just preparing a moment, He's preparing you to endure that moment. He doesn't want you merely to arrive at your destiny. He wants you to sustain it, multiply it, and honor Him with it. And that stewardship begins long before the door opens. You may be hidden now. You may feel forgotten, but in the stillness, God is sharpening you. He is pruning what cannot grow with you. He is removing distractions so your ears can hear Him clearly. This season is not punishment. It is divine preparation. The cocoon may seem like a prison to the caterpillar, but it is the birthplace of wings. And some of you are in that cocoon now. The darkness is not your end. It's your womb. God is shaping something within you that will soon emerge and soar if you stay in position. Don't underestimate small obedience. Don't belittle quiet preparation. God sees it. God honors it. What the world overlooks, God magnifies. What others mock, God breathes life into. Remember, when God raises someone, He does it without permission from the crowd. He doesn't check others' opinions before exalting a soul that has humbled itself. So don't seek validation, seek purification. Don't chase popularity, chase presence. Because God's opportunity does not flow through human hands. It comes straight from the throne of power. If you want to walk in the greatness God has ordained, you must learn to remain faithful in the unseen. Faithfulness is not proven on platforms. It is forged in silence. In the hours when no one is watching, in moments when you say no to fleshly cravings and yes to Spirit's needs. That's where preparation happens. That's where spiritual roots dig deep. And when the storm comes, and it will, you won't be shaken because you're built on solid ground. God is not preparing you for a temporary blessing. He is building a foundation within you that can hold the eternal. What is coming will not only change your life, but will affect generations after you. The words you speak, the habits you form, the choices you make, they are forming a legacy. And when God sends this opportunity, it won't just be a reward. It will be a responsibility, a call to rise higher, a demand to live with intentionality and righteousness. The enemy knows what's coming. That's why the pressure has increased. That's why distractions have grown. That's why your mind has been attacked, your peace disturbed, your faith tested. It's not random. It's because the opportunity God is preparing will change everything. And if the enemy can get you to quit now, to compromise now, to grow weary now, he can steal what was always meant to be yours. But you must not faint, you must not fold. You must remember God finishes what He starts. This is the moment to dig deep into discipline. Fast when no one is watching. Pray when you don't feel like it. Study wisdom like your life depends on it, because it does. Keep your eyes fixed above, not on what's trending, not on who's ahead, not on what the world calls success. You are not being prepared for temporary recognition. You are being prepared for eternal significance. And such opportunity is reserved only for those who walk in reverence. Be aware, too, that when opportunity comes, it may not look as you imagine. It may come wrapped in challenge. It may demand sacrifice. But therein lies the divine test. Will you recognize God's hand when it arrives without glamour? Will you say yes when the reward isn't immediate, but the purpose is clear? Those truly prepared are not seeking ease. They seek alignment. They don't chase applause. They chase obedience. That is the heart God can trust with something great. God often whispers before He thunders. He tests you quietly before He elevates you publicly. You must honor hidden seasons as much as visible ones, because your conduct in the shadows determines the weight you can carry in the light. Don't despise the days of preparation. Don't wish them away. Cherish them. Steward them. Use them, because when the hour comes, you'll look back and realize every moment in waiting was a lesson. Every delay, a divine setup. Every battle, a classroom for strength. I speak now to those ready to give up. Don't. Not now. You're too close. You've endured too much. You've come too far. What God has built is almost ready, but it needs a ready soul. That means you must finish what you started. Don't just start praying. Build a life of prayer. Don't just start seeking. Make seeking God your lifestyle. Don't just expect a miracle. Prepare your spirit to receive it. Faith without preparation is fantasy, but when faith meets preparation, destiny is born. A wave of divine opportunity is coming for those who have remained steadfast. God is about to shift people into places they never applied for. He's about to open doors you didn't knock on. He's about to bring connections you didn't chase. Not because you earned it, but because you endured. Not because of your popularity, but because of your purity. And when it happens, you won't boast. You will bow, you will lift your hands, not with pride, but in praise, knowing it was God, only God, always God. Let your heart be ready. Let your thoughts be anchored. Let your motives be pure. Let your words be seasoned. Let your hands be diligent. Let your eyes stay lifted. What God is bringing is too great for casual treatment, too holy for half-hearted living. This is not time for lukewarm decisions. This is time for fiery commitment. This is the moment to draw the line and say, no more compromise, no more delay, no more excuses. I am ready. Because when the heavens move, they don't wait. When God declares it's time, He does not consult your comfort. He invites your obedience. He calls your faith to rise. And only those who prepared as if it was already theirs will step into the promise. They walked as if it was done. They praised in advance. They obeyed without understanding. When the curtain lifts, they won't be surprised, because their spirits saw it coming long before the world did. Be among those souls. Be among the ready. Be among the unwavering. Be among those who refuse to bow to fear, to doubt, to tire. Be found faithful, because God's opportunity, His greatest release, is closer than ever. When it comes, only the prepared will rise to meet it. If only you could see what God is doing behind the scenes, you'd never waste another moment in fear. If your eyes could pierce the veil that separates time from eternity, you'd see angels dispatched for you. You'd see mountains move that once stood immovable. You'd see the divine puzzle falling into perfect order. Though once every piece seemed misplaced, God is not stalling. He is setting the stage for divine unveiling. What's coming will make every tear worth it, every prayer sacred, every lonely moment a testament to faith. But here's the truth. God doesn't prepare opportunities for those who only desire greatness. He prepares them for those who have disciplined themselves for it. Desire alone is not preparation. Wishing is not readiness. God responds to those who labor in silence, who purify their hearts privately, who choose the narrow road when the broad path looks easier. God is not fooled by outward appearances. He perceives the posture of your heart, the heart that trembles at His word, the heart that bows in quiet reverence, the heart that yields without hesitation. That is the heart He will lift in due time. This is the hour where intentions are tested. Not everyone will endure the weight of what lies ahead. Not everyone will survive the fire of refinement. But those who do, those who stand firm, those who surrender all that is impure, those who let go of what pleases the crowd and instead seek what pleases God, they will taste a reward no one can fabricate. God is calling a remnant, a refined people, a purified vessel. And if you hear this now, it is because God is summoning you to prepare for something higher than comfort, deeper than ambition, and greater than anything this world offers. What is coming won't be handed in a golden box. It will be disguised as hard choices. It will test your priorities. It will ask you to walk away from what is good so you can embrace what is God. Some doors must close before the right one opens. Some relationships must be released before the right people enter. Some habits must die before the true fruit of purpose can live. You cannot enter a holy season with unholy patterns. You cannot host the sacred while clinging to the superficial. God does not dwell where idols remain. This is not just about favor. It is about formation. It's about who you become in the process. God is not merely blessing your hands, He's transforming your heart. Because if the heart is not right, the blessing becomes a burden. If character is not firm, the opportunity will crumble. And so in His mercy, God withholds until you are ready. Not because He's cruel, but because He's a wise father who does not give a sword to a child untrained to wield it. So embrace the process, bless the wilderness, praise God even in your delay, for it's in that secret place of discomfort destiny is born. God whispers secrets in the dark that become songs of victory in the light. He is crafting within you a resilience that will shock even your enemies. He sets you apart not to isolate, but to elevate you at the right time. You are not forgotten. You are being formed. Every unanswered prayer, every closed door, every silent season has been a necessary part of your preparation. Let me say this clearly. The greatest tragedy is not to wait and not receive. It is to receive and not be ready. No grief compares to wasted purpose. No sorrow like mishandled favor. That is why God cares more about your maturity than your moment. He invests more in your obedience than your outward image, because He knows the opportunity He's preparing carries eternal weight. It's not a passing season, it's a divine mandate. When it comes, you must be found stable, unshakable, immovable in faith. Many cry out for the door to open, few prepare for what's on the other side. The one who prepares with diligence will not be caught off guard when God calls forward. They will stand ready, walking fully clothed in wisdom, wrapped in integrity, filled with the authority of one who has walked with God in secret. Do not envy those who rise quickly, for when winds blow, only those rooted deep in God remain standing. Now is the time to silence every voice that does not echo God's voice. Turn down the noise of comparison, distraction, worldly ambition. Tune your ears to divine instruction. God is speaking now clearer than ever, not through thunder, but through stillness. Are you listening? Are you positioning your soul so God can trust you with His secrets? Because to whom much is given, much is required. The weight of what's coming demands more than surface faith. You cannot live on borrowed conviction. You cannot rely on yesterday's oil. God calls you to draw from a fresh well to ignite a fire that external storms cannot quench. Your intimacy with God must become your fortress, your discipline, your daily bread, your purpose more than a concept. It must be your compass. For when opportunity arrives, you won't have time to prepare, only time to respond. How you respond will be shaped by what you've done now before doors open. If you've built in secret, you'll be ready to rise publicly. If you've fasted when others feasted, you'll have strength when others faint. If you've sown in tears, you'll reap in joy. God faithfully honors preparation. He justly rewards obedience. He mercifully holds us in waiting until we're fully ready. So do not despise waiting. Do not rush what God perfects. Every second is sacred, every moment measured. God does not waste your pain. He does not ignore your hunger. He does not overlook your efforts. He stores it all in the vault of divine timing. When the appointed hour comes, it will come suddenly, swiftly, without warning. The clouds will part, the path clear, the burden lift, and you will step into what you've long carried in prayer. This is not the time to be passive. This is the hour of pursuit. Chase after God's things with holy fire. Burn with desire for righteousness. Cry for wisdom like silver. Build your days around obedience. Surround yourself with those who sharpen your purpose. Speak only what uplifts. Walk only where peace leads. Give yourself fully to the process God uses to prepare you. Your next chapter isn't just about you. It's about everyone linked to your obedience. The door God prepares isn't ordinary. It's not seasonal. It's supernatural. It will redeem wasted years, restore what was lost, multiply what was once meager. But it stays open only for those aligned with His will. It won't bow to pride. It won't open to disobedience. It won't remain for those who hesitate and doubt. You must walk through it with conviction, boldness, assurance that God has gone before you. So press in, press on. Refuse to settle. Refuse to compromise. Refuse to give your soul to temporary pleasures when eternity is knocking. Keep your hands clean. Keep your spirit soft. Keep your heart lifted. For when God breathes, dead things live. When God speaks, doors open. When God moves, nothing stops it. When that moment comes, and it will, you want to say, I was ready. If not ready yet, then get ready. The greatest opportunity of your life is on the horizon, not born from man's systems or schemes, but delivered from God's throne. God does not speak in confusion. He speaks in clarity. When He declares a thing, that word is final. No force in heaven or earth can cancel what God ordains. What He opens, no one can shut. What He shuts, no one can force open. His opportunities aren't random. They're righteous, not driven by luck, but by alignment. You must align with His will to walk into His fullness. No divided loyalty, no half-hearted devotion, no spiritual laziness now. Decide who you live for. Trust and follow when the way demands surrender. Many want the promise but resist purification. They want breakthrough but refuse breaking. They want elevation but detest crushing. But God refines His vessels in fire. He tests your character before placing His blessings weight in your hands. Do not mistake delay for denial. Sometimes God allows pressure to reveal if your heart is truly loyal to Him or only loyal to His benefits. He tests hidden places. He searches motives beneath actions. He listens to what you think as well as say. He knows the desires you hide from the world. In exposing those inner places, transformation must begin. God's opportunity is not just a chance to be seen or elevated. It's an invitation to steward His divine assignment. God does not entrust such sacred responsibility to those casual about their calling. You must rise beyond mediocrity. Train your mind to think higher, crave deeper, reach further. Let worldly noise fall silent in your ears. Let human applause fade compared to God's whisper. When God speaks, mountains move, rivers part, nations shift. When He speaks into your life, everything changes. But you must be ready to receive, not only with open hands, but a surrendered life. The greatest tragedy is not missing God's opportunity, but being unprepared when it comes. They are distracted by bitterness, consumed by comparison, paralyzed by fear, intoxicated by ambition. Their hands too full of the unnecessary to hold the sacred. So God passes them by, not because He loves them less, but because they're not positioned. They have no oil in their lamps, hearts grown dull, ears unable to hear, spirits asleep while waiting. But you, if listening now, it's not too late. You can wake, you can prepare, you can shake dust off your faith. Stretch hands to heaven and say, God, make me ready. Strip what I don't need. Remove what blocks me. Strengthen what's weak. Give endurance. Give vision. give discipline to finish what I started. That prayer from a sincere heart shakes heaven. It stirs the atmosphere because God responds to hunger. He answers desperation. He draws near to the broken and builds his glory upon those who are willing to decrease so he may increase. The opportunity that is coming will not just bless you, it will demand more from you. It will not just open doors, it will expand your capacity. It will not just elevate your name, it will test your integrity. And the question is, can you be trusted with what you have been praying for? Can you handle influence without losing humility? Can you walk in favor without forgetting the one who gave it? Can you stand in the spotlight and still seek the secret place where your soul was forged in silence? That is why God prepares you in hiding. That is why he delays the platform so that the private person is strong enough to carry the weight of the public calling. You don't prepare after the door opens. You prepare now. You discipline your thoughts now. You consecrate your time now. You guard your tongue now. You cleanse your motives now. Because when the opportunity comes, it will demand a version of you that can only be shaped in obedience. And obedience is not always glamorous. It is often painful. It will ask you to say no when everything inside you wants to say yes. It will require separation from comfort, confrontation with truth, and commitment to walk away from what once fed your ego. But what God is preparing will far outweigh what you're giving up now. The pain of preparation will be forgotten in the joy of fulfillment. Do not chase opportunity, chase obedience. Do not seek the next big thing, seek the next faithful step. God knows how to find you. He knows your name, your tears, your prayers, your sacrifice. He has not lost sight of your struggle. He has not ignored your midnight cries. He has counted every seed you've sown in secret. And he is faithful to reward those who do not give up when all within them wants to quit. Your reward will not be delayed a moment longer than necessary. When the time is right, God will act. Not a second too early, not a second too late, but right on time. So stand tall even if you feel broken. Walk forward even if the path seems uncertain. Lift your head even if the weight is heavy, because God is not finished with you. He's just getting started. The pressure you feel is not the end. It is the contraction before birth. Something is about to be released in your life that will shift your story forever. But it will not happen by accident. It will happen because you stayed faithful, stayed awake, stayed obedient, even when no one saw you but God. This is your season of divine alignment. This is the time to sharpen your discernment, to protect your peace, to silence every voice that does not lead you to truth, to invest in what feeds your spirit, to remove yourself from anything that poisons your purpose. Because when God opens the door, you don't want to be dragging unnecessary baggage. You don't want to be held back by soul ties, by bitterness, by regret. You want to be light enough to run through that door. You want to be strong enough to carry what's waiting on the other side. And when it comes, don't hesitate. Don't question if you're worthy. Don't shrink back in fear. Remember the fire you've walked through. Remember the nights you stayed on your knees. Remember the tests you passed when no one was watching. God saw it all, and this moment is his response. This opportunity is heaven's answer. It's not a coincidence. It's not a lucky break. It is the manifestation of divine timing met with a ready soul. The moment is coming when God will test the weight of your preparation. And on that day, you won't have time to rehearse faith. You'll need to walk in it. You won't have time to build discipline. You'll have to lean on it. The opportunity God is about to present will separate the spectators from the servants. It will distinguish those who are curious from those who are committed. God is not looking for crowds. He is looking for covenant. He is searching for those who didn't just talk about surrender, but lived it in the silence of obscurity. Many have been hidden in this season, not because they were forgotten, but because they were being forged. God hides what he values. Just as gold is buried deep beneath the surface and diamonds are formed in pressure, so too are the most powerful vessels of God developed in private. What looks like isolation is divine incubation. What feels like silence is sacred instruction. God is teaching you how to rely on him when there's no applause, how to trust him when there's no evidence, how to obey him when there's no visible reward, because that's where the true foundation is laid. Not in the light, but in the shadows where only God sees. This is why your private life matters more than your public image. What you do when no one is watching reveals who you really are. That is the soil where God plants his promises. That is the ground where opportunity will either bloom or die. If you've been careless with time, if you've wasted moments, if you've tolerated distractions that steal your focus from God, this is your wake-up call. God's opportunity is not delayed. It is approaching with purpose and precision. But only those who've made God their priority will be able to carry the weight of what's next. Let every compromise be confronted. Let every idol be crushed. Let every voice that pulls you away from God be silenced. This is a time for fierce alignment, for radical obedience, for complete devotion. Because the higher God takes you, the more exposed you become. And if your roots are shallow, the winds of promotion will destroy you instead of elevate you. But if your roots are deep, deep in prayer, deep in truth, deep in humility, then when the door opens, you will not just survive, you will thrive. Understand this, God is not sending you an opportunity to inflate your ego. He is entrusting you with influence to reflect his glory. He is calling you higher, not so you can sit above others, but so you can serve with greater reach and greater impact. And the higher the calling, the deeper the preparation. God will not allow you to skip steps. He will not allow shortcuts. What he's building in you is not fragile, and eternal things require eternal focus. Some of you are wondering why the breakthrough hasn't come yet. You're asking why the door remains shut. But have you examined your heart? Have you purged the pride, the bitterness, the fear, the secret habits that poison your spirit? Because God's opportunity is holy, and he will not place what is sacred into hands that are stained by disobedience. He loves you too much to give you something prematurely. He knows what you can carry. He knows when you are ready. And when you align with his timing, nothing can stop what he has ordained. So let this season be a furnace. Let it refine you. Let it humble you. Let it strip away everything that cannot go with you into the next chapter. Your comfort cannot follow you there. Your old identity must die. Your reliance on man must crumble. Because where God is taking you, he alone must be your source, your guide, your sustainer. The path forward will not be built by popularity, nor paved by applause. It will be carved by faith, pressed by sacrifice, and sealed by obedience. The opportunity God has planned will not look like what you expected. It may come disguised as a challenge. It may be wrapped in responsibility. It may look like a burden before it reveals itself as a blessing. But that is how God works. He tests the heart before he reveals the purpose. He hides the treasure inside the task. He places miracles inside moments that others overlook. And only those who are spiritually awake, alert, and aligned will recognize what others will miss. You must keep your oil full. Keep your faith strong. Keep your conscience clean. Do not let the world wear you down or dilute your fire. Do not allow your surroundings to dictate your spiritual temperature. The world may be cold, but you must stay burning with purpose. God did not like your soul to flicker. He lit it to blaze. You are not here to blend in. You are here to rise above, to carry the weight of his message, to manifest his wisdom in a generation that is searching for truth. And when the moment comes, and it will come like a sudden wind. Those who are ready will rise without hesitation. They will move with clarity, speak with authority, and walk with power. They will not second-guess their purpose because they've been living it all along. They've been in the fields when no one was watching. They've been on their knees when no one was applauding. They've been refining their character, purging their motives, aligning their steps with the divine rhythm of God's timing. That's who God will use. Not the loudest, not the most talented, not the most popular, but the prepared, the broken, the surrendered. The one who cried in the dark, but kept walking. The one who sacrificed what was easy for what was eternal. The one who chose faith over fear, discipline over comfort, truth over popularity. God sees you, and your moment is closer than you think. So rise even if you feel unqualified. Stand even if your legs are trembling. Obey even if you don't understand every step. Because when God says it's time, no man can stop what he sets in motion. And if you've been faithful in the silence, you'll be fruitful in the spotlight. This is not the end of your story. It's the beginning of something sacred, something supernatural, something that will echo beyond this life and into eternity. God's greatest opportunity is not a myth, not a fantasy, not a distant dream. It's real. It's coming, and it's yours to receive if you are prepared. The higher the calling, the deeper the preparation. God will not allow you to skip steps. He will not allow shortcuts. What he's building in you is not fragile. And eternal things require eternal focus. Some of you are wondering why the breakthrough hasn't arrived yet. You're asking why the door remains closed. But have you examined your heart? Have you purified the pride, the bitterness, the fear, the hidden habits that poison your spirit? Because God's opportunity is sacred, and he will not entrust what is holy to hands stained by disobedience. He loves you too much to give you something prematurely. He knows what you can bear. He knows when you are ready. And when you align with his timing, nothing can stop what he has ordained. So let this season be a furnace. Let it purify you. Let it humble you. Let it remove everything that cannot accompany you into the next chapter. Your comfort cannot follow you there. Your old identity must die. Your dependence on man must collapse. Because where God is leading you, he alone must be your source, your guide, your sustainer. The path ahead will not be built by popularity, nor paved by applause. It will be carved by faith, shaped by sacrifice, and sealed by obedience. The opportunity God has prepared will not look like what you expected. It may appear as a challenge. It may be wrapped in responsibility. It may seem like a burden before it reveals itself as a blessing. But that is how God works. He tests the heart before he reveals the purpose. He hides the treasure inside the task. He places miracles inside moments others overlook. And only those who are spiritually awake, alert, and aligned will recognize what others miss. You must keep your oil full. Keep your faith strong. Keep your conscience clear. Do not let the world wear you down or fade your fire. Do not allow your environment to control your spiritual temperature. The world may be cold, but you must stay burning with purpose. God did not light your soul to flicker. He lit it to blaze. You are not here to blend in. You are here to rise above, to carry the weight of his message, to manifest his wisdom in a generation seeking truth. And when the moment comes, and it will come like a sudden wind, those who are ready will rise without hesitation. They will move with clarity, speak with authority, and walk with power. They will not doubt their purpose because they've been living it all along. They've been in the fields long before the crowds, long before the lights, tending obedience in obscurity, plowing the soil of their soul in silence. They've been on their knees not for attention, but because they know where true strength is found. They've been purging pride, sifting their motives, yielding to the slow, sacred process of alignment with heaven's timing. That's who God will use. Not the loudest voice in the room, Not the one with the largest platform, not the one whose name trends, but the one whose heart bends, the one who's been crushed and still chose to worship, the one who laid down comfort for calling, the one who learned to bleed in private and still bless in public, the prepared, the broken, the surrendered, the one who walked through fire and didn't lose faith, the one who chose the narrow road when the wide one was easier, the one who said yes when no would have been safer. God sees you, and your moment is closer than you know. So rise, even if insecurity whispers you're not ready. Stand even if everything inside you trembles. Obey even if clarity hasn't come. Because when God says it's time, no man, no system, no past, and no failure can stop what heaven has scheduled. If you've been faithful in the quiet place, you're about to be fruitful in the visible one. This is not your finish line. This is your release point. The beginning of something holy, something weighty, something eternal. God's greatest opportunity for your life is not fiction. It's not fantasy. It's not far away. It's real. It's near. And it's yours if you're prepared to carry it. My friend, listen. Really listen. There will come a time when the very ground you've stood on begins to tremble, when every door seems locked, when the voices you once leaned on fall silent, when your tears come without explanation, and hope feels like a stranger who's walked away without warning. You've prayed, pleaded, tried everything within your power, and yet the mountain hasn't moved. The situation hasn't changed. But I've come to tell you today, not from my strength, but from the unshakable truth of God's word, trust Him. God will fix it. You see, the battle you're facing is not proof of His absence. The silence you feel is not abandonment. It is preparation. It is the quiet building of something greater than your mind can grasp. Sometimes when God is working, it feels like He's gone silent. Sometimes when He's working behind the scenes, it feels like your life stage is empty. But hear this clearly. The silence of God is never the stillness of God. True trust doesn't begin when the sun shines. It begins when the night refuses to end. It begins when logic fails, when your strength wanes, when your soul says, I can't see the path. And right there, right in that moment of darkness, that's when you rise and say, God, I still trust you. You may be in the storm now. The winds may howl. The waves may crash. You may feel like you have nothing left. But remember this eternal truth. Storms don't drive God away. They draw Him near. They don't cancel His presence. They reveal it. You don't need a sign to know He's working. You don't need an explanation to know He's moving. You just need to trust the who. And that who is the Almighty God, unshaken, unchanging, all-knowing, all-powerful, and always faithful. So stand firm in your storm. Lift your eyes and hold this truth close. God is already fixing what you cannot see. God sees what you're going through. God knows the private pain others can't see. The disappointments that broke your spirit, the betrayal that left you bleeding, the prayers you whispered at 3 a.m. when the world was asleep and your soul screamed. Yes, God saw it all. Not a tear from your eye escaped His sight. Not a single sigh went unnoticed. And if you trust Him, if you hold on, if you refuse to give up, God will take what was meant to destroy you and use it to build you. There is no situation too broken for God to fix. No wound too deep. No mess too great. No sin too dark. No past too stained. You are not beyond His reach. You are not beyond repair. You are not forgotten. You are not forsaken. God is the master of restoration. He is the healer of shattered hearts. He is the lifter of the downtrodden. He is the waymaker in the wilderness, the light in the darkness, the voice in the silence. Sometimes God allows everything around you to fall apart so that you have nothing left to lean on but Him. Sometimes he strips away every false comfort, every fake support, every illusion of control, so your trust rests only in him. Not people, not money, not your strength, but God alone. Because what God is about to build in your life requires a new foundation. One not made of sand, but of solid, unwavering trust. I know it's hard. I know your heart is tired. I know you've been waiting, praying, weeping. But God is not late. He's never late. His timing is perfect. And while you wait, he's working behind the scenes in ways you can't see. God is aligning every piece. He is orchestrating the outcome. He is opening the right doors, closing the wrong ones, shifting hearts, moving mountains, and preparing blessings with your name on them. Do not let the devil convince you your situation is permanent. Do not let your feelings control your faith. Your emotions may scream, "It's over," but your spirit must shout back, "God is still working." Do not judge the story by the chapter you're in. This is not the end. This is not the conclusion. This is just the valley before the victory. God has not brought you this far to leave you now. Every great deliverance begins with a season of darkness. Every miracle begins with a moment of impossibility. If it were easy, it wouldn't be a miracle. If you could fix it yourself, you wouldn't need to trust God. But because you can't, because it's too much, because you're exhausted and overwhelmed, that's when God steps in. That's when his power is made perfect in your weakness. God will not only fix your situation, he will fix you in the process. He will transform your heart, renew your mind, anchor your soul. He will take your pain and turn it to purpose. He will take your failure and use it as fertilizer for your future. He will take the tears you've cried and turn them into a river of blessing flowing into every dry place in your life. But only if you trust him. You must trust him when prayers seem unanswered. You must trust him when your strength is gone. You must trust him when others mock your faith and ask, "Where is your God now?" You must trust him when your own voice trembles with fear. Trust is not a feeling. It is a decision. It is a declaration in despair's space that says, even if I can't see the way, I know God has one. Even if I don't feel it, I know God is here. Even if everything falls apart, I will not let go of God's hand. Because when you trust God, you place your life in the hands of the one who holds the universe. You place your burden in the arms of the one who cannot fail. You depend on the faithfulness of the one who kept you through every night you thought you wouldn't survive. And that same God who carried you yesterday will carry you today and tomorrow and every day after that. Don't confuse delay with denial. Just because it hasn't happened yet doesn't mean it won't. God's promises are not empty. His word does not return void. When God says he will fix it, he will. Not in your way, not in your time, but in the perfect time and in the most powerful way. What you see as a setback, God sees as a setup. What looks like rejection is often redirection. What feels like a breaking is actually a birthing. And let me tell you, when God fixes it, he leaves no scar that hinders. He heals completely. He restores fully. He redeems totally. He doesn't patch things up. He makes all things new. He doesn't offer temporary relief. He brings permanent deliverance. But you must stop trying to control it. Stop trying to manipulate the outcome. Stop trying to rush the process. Trust the process. Trust the waiting. Trust the silence. Trust the tears. Trust God. God does not need your help to perform his will. He needs your surrender. He needs your faith. He needs you to say, even if nothing changes today, I will still believe. That kind of faith moves mountains. That kind of trust opens the heavens. That kind of surrender brings peace in the storm. And when God brings you out, and he will, you won't even look like what you've been through. People will look at you and wonder how you made it. They will ask you what your secret was, and you will say it was God. Not luck, not connections, not effort, not intellect, but God only. So today, bury the fear, bury the doubt, bury the anxiety, and rise with trust, rise with faith, rise with a quiet confidence that says God is fixing it even now. Don't give up 5 minutes before the miracle. Don't walk away when you're one step from the breakthrough. Don't let the enemy steal what God is about to release. Stand still and trust God. No matter how impossible your situation looks, God is greater. No matter how long it's been, God is still able. No matter how heavy the burden, God can carry it. No matter how dark the night, God brings the dawn. You are not alone. You are not defeated. You are not without hope. God is with you. God is for you, and God will fix it. If you could only see what God sees, you'd stop worrying. If you could hear what God hears, you'd stop crying. If you could know what God knows, you'd stop doubting. Because the same hand that created the stars is holding your life. The same breath that spoke the world into existence is breathing on your situation. The same power that raised up empires and tore down strongholds is working on your behalf. Don't let temporary troubles steal eternal truth. Don't let what you see in the flesh make you forget what God promised in the Spirit. What He said when will come to pass. What He started, He will finish. What He allows, He will use. What He breaks, He will rebuild. What He delays, He will redeem. But you must trust Him. Even now, when it feels like everything is falling apart, God is piecing it all together. Even now, when you feel forgotten, God is calling your name. Even now, when the night is long, God is preparing the sunrise. Even now, when your faith is faint, God is faithful. And let me tell you, the weight you carry today is not meant to crush you. It is meant to press you into deeper dependence on God. Sometimes the heaviest burdens are placed upon the strongest shoulders, not because God wants you to suffer, but because He is building something eternal within you. You may not feel strong, but God knows the power He placed in you. You may feel like giving up, but God is not finished. He allows trials not to harm you, but to train you, to forge you in the fire until you shine with unshakable faith. Trust God, because what you think is a delay might actually be divine preparation. There is a reason you didn't break when others did. There is a reason you're still standing after the storm. There is a reason your heart still believes, even with cracks in it. It's not because of your strength. It's because God is holding you up. You might have lost some things, some people, some opportunities, but you didn't lose God. And when you still have God, you still have everything. The presence of God is not always loud. He doesn't always come with lightning and thunder. Sometimes it's a whisper in the storm, a stillness in the chaos, a peace that defies reason. And when you lean into that presence, when you trust even in the quiet, God begins to move in ways the world cannot understand. God knows how to turn ashes into beauty, how to turn mourning into joy, how to bring hope out of hopelessness. There is no human explanation for the way God works. It's divine. It's beyond reason. When you trust God, you don't need to have all the answers. You only need one assurance. God is in control. Not a single moment of your suffering is wasted. Not one trial is meaningless. God uses everything. The hurt, the delay, the silence, the waiting. All of it is part of His plan to strengthen your soul and position your life for a blessing that no one can stop. Some of you are in a place right now where it feels like everything is dried up. The people you counted on are gone. The doors you knocked on have closed. The opportunities you once dreamed of have vanished. But listen, sometimes God allows the river to dry up so He can lead you to a better one. Sometimes He takes you out of familiar places so He can reveal unfamiliar favor. If your heart is broken today, it does not mean your story is over. It means God is about to write a new chapter. You do not have to understand the process to trust the purpose. God is too wise to make a mistake, too loving to be cruel, too powerful to be limited by your circumstances. And when God is silent, it is never because He has forgotten you. It's because He is crafting something so extraordinary, so tailored, so glorious, that it requires divine timing and precise alignment. Trust Him. He is not working on a small solution. He is building something eternal. God is not only able to fix your situation, but He is also able to fix your vision. You see, the enemy wants you to focus only on what's missing, what's broken, what's wrong, but God wants to shift your focus to what's possible, what's growing, what's coming. When you begin to trust God, your eyes open to divine perspective. You stop magnifying the problem and you start magnifying the one who can solve it. You stop panicking and you start praying. You stop doubting and you start declaring, my situation is not bigger than my God. There is a peace that comes when you place your full trust in God, a peace that cannot be stolen by the chaos around you. That peace is not dependent on your situation changing. That peace comes when you change, when your soul anchors itself in the unchanging nature of God. God does not fluctuate with your emotions. God does not move based on public opinion. God is steady. He is constant. And when you build your trust on that rock, nothing can shake you. Let this be your declaration. I will trust God when the path is clear. And I will trust God when the way is hidden. I will trust God when the blessing is visible. And I will trust God when all I see is the burden. I will trust Him when the doors swing open. And I will trust Him when I hear silence. Because I believe that even in the silence, even in the shadows, even in the struggle, God is still speaking. God is still guiding. Some of the greatest breakthroughs in your life will come after your greatest battle. Some of the deepest wisdom you'll ever receive will come through the pain you didn't want to experience. And some of the closest encounters with God will happen when you are at your lowest, your weakest, your most fragile point. Because in those moments you stop pretending and you start depending. In those moments your prayers are raw, your heart is open, and your spirit is ready. And God meets you there right in the ashes and begins to rebuild your life with divine hand. So do not despise the season you're in. Do not curse the pain. Do not run from the trial. Let it draw you closer to God. Let it teach you to let go of what you cannot control and grab hold of the one who controls everything. Let it purify your faith. Let it refine your trust. Because on the other side of this mountain, on the other side of this storm, is a testimony that will shake the gates of despair. And hear me, God doesn't just want to fix your situation, He wants to transform your destiny. What you thought was a delay is a divine detour, leading you to a place you never imagined. What you thought was rejection was redirection into greater purpose. You may have been praying for a repair, but God is planning a total restoration. You may be asking for a door, but God is building a palace. You may be begging for crumbs, but God has prepared a feast. But He requires your trust. Stop measuring God's power by your situation. Start measuring your situation by God's power. Stop telling God how big your problem is and start telling your problem how mighty your God is. Your storm is not the final word. Your weakness is not the last chapter. Your failure is not your identity. God is rewriting your story with the ink of mercy and the pen of divine love. You don't have to force anything. What God ordains, no one can cancel. What God speaks, no man can silence. What God prepares, no thief can steal. What God begins, no enemy can stop. But you must stay in the place of trust, even when your hands are trembling, even when your heart is broken, even when your faith is barely hanging on. Stay in trust. Cry if you must, but stay. Weep if you must, but remain. Wait, endure. Believe. And God will show you that He is still the restorer, the provider, the healer, the deliverer. And when it's all said and done, when you look back on this chapter of your life, you'll realize that the situation you begged God to fix was actually the situation He used to fix you. You'll see that every delay, every tear, every sleepless night was not a sign of abandonment, but a sign of preparation. God was not punishing you. He was positioning you. He was growing you, stretching you, shaping you for something far beyond your present understanding. So keep trusting, keep hoping, keep holding on to that quiet voice inside that says God is still in control. You are not at the mercy of chance. You are not the victim of randomness. Your life is under the authority of the Most High. And when you live in that truth, when you root yourself in that power, your soul will no longer be shaken by storms, because your trust is not in results. Your trust is in God. And God, my friend, never fails. And I say to you now with every fiber of urgency and clarity, stop pacing. Stop doubting. Stop trying to force open doors that God has kept closed for your protection. God does not need your panic. God needs your surrender. When your back is against the wall, when the clock is ticking, when everyone walks away and the lights go dim, those are not signs that God has left you. Those are signs that He is about to step in and do what no man can do. You may be in the middle of a divine pause, a sacred moment where God is testing not only your patience, but your position. Are you positioned in trust or trembling in fear? You must understand this. There is a difference between believing in God and trusting God. Belief is the acknowledgement of His existence, but trust is the confidence in His decisions. Trust says, even if I don't like the way this looks, I believe God sees a bigger picture. Trust says, even though I prayed and it hasn't happened yet, I will still bow my heart and say, your will, not mine. Trust is the highest form of worship, because it declares that God is wiser than your worry, stronger than your struggle, and more faithful than your fear. Let your heart be still. Be still. Not because the situation isn't real, not because the storm isn't raging, but because you know who rules the storm. The same God who holds the oceans in His hand can certainly hold your life in perfect peace. But peace is not found in the absence of problems. Peace is found in the presence of trust. When your soul is anchored in God, you can smile in the face of adversity. You can rest while others are restless. You can walk through fire and not be burned because you know who walks beside you, who watches over you, and who ordains every step. And sometimes God will break everything around you to rebuild what is within you. The very thing you think is destroying your life might be delivering you from danger. The door that slammed in your face might have saved you from destruction. The relationship that ended may have spared you from a future of misery, but you won't see that in the moment. It takes trust to look at a loss and say, this must be part of God's plan. It takes faith to walk through the shadows and believe there is light just ahead. It takes divine maturity to say, God, if you're taking it away, it must not be meant for me right now. Do not waste time trying to understand everything. Your understanding has limits. God's wisdom is eternal. What looks like confusion to you is clarity in the eyes of God. What seems delayed to you is divine timing in the hands of the Almighty. What seems chaotic to you is perfectly ordered in His sovereign will. Let that truth calm your heart. Let it break the chains of worry. Let it silence the lies that have been shouting in your ear. You don't need to know the why when you trust the who behind it all. God doesn't just want your praise when things are good. He wants your trust when things are uncertain. That's when real faith is born. Not when the sun is shining, but when the clouds roll in. Not when the path is clear, but when it disappears. And that's when God reveals Himself. Not always with thunder or miracles, but with a quiet strength that carries you when you thought you couldn't go on. That strength is not of this world. It's not from motivational books or feel-good speeches. It comes from knowing God personally, from walking with Him in the valley, and trusting that the same God who is with you on the mountain still walks beside you in the low place. So don't envy those who seem ahead of you. Don't compare your journey to others. Trust that God is writing your story, and every chapter has purpose. Some chapters may feel heavy. Some seasons may stretch you beyond your limits. But nothing is wasted. Every tear you cry is counted. Every battle you fight is recorded. Every moment of trust, even when your hands are trembling, is precious to God. And at the right time, not your time, but the right time, God will show up. And when He shows up, things shift. The pain you're in now could be the birthplace of your greatest transformation. The struggle you're facing now might be the stage upon which God displays His power. The door that closed may have been the mercy of God saving you from something that looked good but would have taken you off course. This is why you must trust Him, not only for what He gives, but for what He withholds, not only for what He opens, but for what He closes, not only for the miracles, but for the moments when nothing makes sense. And hear this, when God fixes your situation, He will do it in such a way that no one else gets the credit. No name will be praised but His. No explanation will satisfy, but God did it. And that's how He works, so that you know without a shadow of a doubt that it was not your wisdom, not your effort, not your charm or talent, but the sheer power and grace of God that brought you through. So lift your head, straighten your back, wipe your tears. You are not defeated. You are not alone. You are not without hope. God is not done with you. You may be in the middle of your storm, but you are also in the middle of His plan. And His plans never fail. He is the architect of your destiny, the defender of your soul, the provider of your needs, and the answerer of your secret prayer. Trust Him not only to fix what's broken, but to renew what's weary, to restore what's lost, and to revive what feels dead. You are closer than you think, closer to the breakthrough, closer to the release, closer to the peace you've been seeking. But don't abort the process. Don't leave the waiting room. Don't rush what God is still refining. Diamonds are made under pressure. Gold is purified through fire. And your faith is being perfected in us in this exact moment. Yes, it hurts. Yes, it's hard. But it is holy. It is part of something greater than you can yet see. Let your trust in God be louder than your fear. Let your hope rise even when everything tells you to give up. Speak to your soul. Tell it to trust, to wait, to believe. Let your mind be still and your spirit be anchored. Because no matter what comes against you, no matter what storms rage around you, no matter how long the night has been, morning will come. Not because of chance, not because of fate. And when He moves with power. When He speaks, things change. And when He chooses to fix your situation, it will not be halfway. It will be full. It will be complete. It will be undeniable. Trust God, not because it's easy, not because it's comfortable, but because it's the only way to truly live. Trust Him because He sees what you can't. Trust Him because He hears what you don't. Trust Him because He loves you more deeply than anyone ever could. And trust Him above all because He alone holds the power to take your broken pieces and build something beautiful that will not only bless you, but generations after you. There is a holy strength that rises within a soul that dares to trust God in the midst of uncertainty. It is not the strength of the flesh, not the pride of intellect, not the boasting of worldly wisdom. It is the quiet, unshakable power of a heart anchored in the truth that God never fails. That kind of trust does not need a guarantee. It does not demand a sign. It simply rests in the assurance that God is who He says He is, and He will do what He has promised to do. When you trust God, you are standing on sacred ground. You are declaring war against doubt. You are silencing the lies that have tried to define your destiny. You are saying to every fear, every worry, every whisper of despair, you do not have the final word. God does. Trust is not passive. It is a weapon. It's a spiritual fire that consumes fear and lights the path forward when everything around you is dark. Let me tell you something the enemy never wants you to realize. The moment you choose to trust God completely is the moment hell begins to tremble, because trust invites divine intervention. Trust calls down the help of heaven. Trust releases the hand of God to move freely without limitation, without resistance. That is why the battle for your trust is so intense. That's why the trials are so relentless. Because if you ever truly believe that God will fix your situation, if you ever truly rest in that truth, you become unstoppable. You must decide today, will you live by what you feel or by what you know? Feelings are unstable. They change with the wind. But truth, God's truth, remains unshaken. And the truth is this: God sees your pain. God knows your need. God is not confused about your future, and He is not intimidated by your problem. You may feel like your life is too tangled, too broken, too far gone. But to God, nothing is too hard. He does not ask how deep the pit is before reaching down. He simply reaches. Some of the most powerful miracles begin in the places we want to escape. That sickness, that failure, that heartbreak. It may be the very soil where your purpose is about to grow. Don't despise the soil. Don't curse the darkness. Because beneath the surface, God is planting something eternal. He is cultivating strength, character, wisdom, and discernment. These are treasures you don't gain in comfort. These are gifts you receive through the fire, but only if you trust Him through it. There are blessings that only come through the breaking. There are revelations that only come through waiting. And there are victories that only come when you surrender. Not partly, not when it's easy, but fully, completely, with every fiber of your being. God is not interested in partial trust. He is not moved by lip service faith. He responds to hearts that are fully yielded. Hearts that say, even if I don't understand, I will obey. Even if I can't see the outcome, I will walk forward. Even if it costs me everything, I will still believe that God is enough. Trusting God doesn't mean you'll never feel fear. It means you won't bow to it. It means you'll rise in the midst of it and say, God, I choose you over my fear. I choose faith over frustration. I choose patience over panic. And in that moment, God pours supernatural strength into your soul. The kind of strength that keeps you calm when the storm rages. The kind of strength that holds you steady when others fall apart. The kind of strength that allows you to smile through the tears and declare, my God is still in control. Every time you choose to trust God, you are building a spiritual legacy. You are laying down stones of faith that your children will walk on, that others will be inspired by. Your quiet trust in private places becomes a thunderous testimony in the eyes of the world. You don't need to announce it. You don't need to broadcast your battles. Just trust God. He will make sure the outcome speaks for itself. And oh, how He will fix it. Not with a bandage, not with a patch, but with a complete restoration that leaves you in awe. God doesn't do halfway miracles. When He fixes something, He restores the years the pain has stolen. He returns peace that surpasses understanding. He recovers joy you thought was lost forever. He rebuilds in such a way that when people look at your life, they won't even recognize the ashes. It will all be beauty. But it begins with trust. Not occasional trust, not convenient trust, but relentless, unwavering trust. The kind of trust that says, I will not move until God moves. I will not make decisions out of fear. I will not compromise my values just to get ahead. I will not look for shortcuts. I will wait, even if it takes longer than I planned. I will trust God because He is faithful. Too many give up right before the breakthrough. Too many walk away when they are one prayer away from their answer. Don't let that be you. Don't allow the delay to deceive you. Don't confuse silence with absence. God is closer than you think. And what you've been praying for may already be on its way. Keep pressing. Keep standing. Keep trusting. Because the moment you feel the weakest may be the very moment the shift begins. And when God moves, when He finally steps in, it won't be subtle. It won't be small. It will be undeniable. He will silence every voice that doubted you. He will turn every weapon formed against you into a testimony. He will cause those who watched your pain to witness your promotion. And He will do it not because you deserved it, not because you were perfect, but because you trusted Him in the dark. Trust is the seed. And once it's planted, it grows roots that anchor your life. Not in the shallow soil of opinion or circumstance, but in the deep truth of who God is. And when the winds blow and the rain falls and the world shakes, you will stand, because your trust is not in the seen, but in the unseen. Not in what changes, but in what never changes. Not in man, not in systems, not in resources, but in the living, eternal, unchanging power of God alone. So today, choose to trust. Even if everything says not to, even if every voice around you tells you to quit, even if your own mind is tired of waiting, trust. Because when you do, you activate the very power that holds the stars in place. You connect your life to the infinite wisdom and mercy of the one who knows the end from the beginning. And when your situation is fixed, and it will be, you will look back and say, it was worth it. Every tear, every trial, every test, it was all worth it because God was in it. And if He was in it, then nothing was wasted. Nothing was random. Nothing was overlooked. Trust God. He has already written the end of your story. And it ends in victory. Not because of who you are, but because of who He is. There are moments when life feels like it's unraveling at the seams, when all you've built is collapsing, when the people you counted on have vanished, when even the strength to pray feels beyond you. But listen to this truth that burns with eternal fire. God is never confused. God is never overwhelmed. God is never late. And even when you are surrounded by darkness, when your voice is far from calling out, when your hands are empty and your soul is tired, God is still sovereign. His plan for your life is not diminished by the pain you are in. His promises are not forgotten just because the road has been long. Let your soul grasp this. The waiting is not wasted. That season where you feel unseen, overlooked, and forgotten, God is using it. He is shaping you, molding your character, stripping away what cannot stay in the next season. You may not see the outcome, but He sees the full picture. God's wisdom operates on an eternal timeline, not a temporary one. And if you could only see what He's sparing you from, if you could only glimpse what He's preparing for you, you'd praise Him even in the pain. And sometimes God won't remove the situation immediately. Not because He doesn't care, but because He is drawing out a deeper faith from within you. Faith that isn't dependent on comfort. Faith that doesn't rely on results. Faith that clings to God simply because He is God. That's the kind of trust that causes the unseen to shake. That's the kind of trust that invites miracles not only around you, but within you. It transforms how you walk, how you speak, how you think. When you trust God like that, even your silence becomes a weapon. Even your stillness becomes powerful because God honors those who trust Him in secret long before the breakthrough comes. Do not seek a temporary escape. Seek a permanent transformation. Because when God fixes your situation, it will not only relieve the pressure, it will reveal a purpose, a deeper reason, a divine strategy that you could never have mapped out on your own. You are not just surviving this season. God is strengthening you for what's next. He is positioning you for influence, preparing you for greater responsibility. But He must know that you trust Him before the blessing. Anyone can trust when the cup is full, But who will trust when it's empty? Who will trust when the brook dries up? When the harvest delays? When the skies don't shift? That's where the real proving happens. That's where your soul either clings to God or collapses into fear. And if you choose to cling, if you choose to lift your voice and say, God, I don't understand, but I believe you, then that trust becomes the altar where divine strength is poured out. God does not ignore trust. He does not bypass faith. When he sees it pure, unwavering, surrendered, he moves not always instantly, but maturely, always in the right way, always at the right time. God does not fix your situation by human logic. He does it his way. And that's why you cannot rely on what you see. You cannot trust your eyes more than your spirit. Your eyes will lie to you. They will show you failure and say it is final. They will show you delays and call them denial. But your spirit, if it is grounded in trust, will tell you, God is not finished. This is not the end. Something greater is being written. You may feel surrounded right now. Pressure coming from all sides, financial, emotional, spiritual. But pressure is not always the sign of defeat. Sometimes pressure is proof that you're on the edge of something divine. When God is about to bring forth something powerful through your life, there will be resistance. That pressure is not to break you, but to birth something through you. New levels of endurance, new realms of insight, new waves of blessing. But trust must be the key that unlocks it all. Let your thoughts be captive to God's truth. Don't let fear build strongholds in your mind. Don't let the enemy rewrite your narrative with despair. Every time you feel the weight of doubt, respond with trust. Say out loud, God is in control. God knows what he's doing. God has not brought me this far to abandon me. Now say it, even when you don't feel it, especially when you don't feel it, because your words of trust are seeds. They grow, they take root, they create a garden of peace in the wilderness of confusion. And here is something else you must remember. God does not just repair situations. He resurrects what is dead. He brings dry bones to life. He speaks where there was silence and causes things to move. When God speaks over your situation, it doesn't matter how lifeless it looks. It doesn't matter how far gone it feels. If God decides to move, not even the gates of hardship can keep it from coming to pass. This is why you must stop consulting your situation for answers and start consulting God for clarity. Stop letting your circumstances define what's possible. Stop letting the opinions of people override the promises of God. Just because man says it's over doesn't mean God agrees. Just because they walked away doesn't mean God did. You may be rejected by men, but chosen by God. And the one who chooses you is greater than the world that misunderstood you. When the pressure increases, lean in not to worry, but to God. When the timeline stretches longer than expected, hold on not to panic, but to trust. When the enemy whispers that you are forgotten, lift your voice and declare, God knows me. God sees me. God is with me. Speak life where others speak loss. Speak peace where others expect panic. And as you trust God through the unknown, you will feel a shift. Maybe not around you at first, but within you. A peace of God will flood your soul. The fear will lose its grip. The confusion will start to clear, because trust doesn't just change outcomes, it changes you. And when God does what only he can do, and he will, it will be undeniable. The kind of shift that leaves no room for chance, no space for coincidence. People will ask how it happened, and your only answer will be, it was God. Because only God could have restored what was lost. Only God could have redeemed the years. Only God could have opened doors no one could shut. And he did it not just because you prayed, but because you trusted. So walk forward, not in fear, but in expectation. Expect that God is working even in the silence. Expect that he is fighting battles you cannot see. Expect that he is fighting battles you cannot see. Expect that he is weaving every piece of your life into a tapestry of victory. Don't let today's struggle blur tomorrow's promise. Fix your gaze not on what is shaking, but on the one who cannot be shaken. Trust God, and He will fix your situation, not only in the way you desire, but in the way He knows is best. Because He is not just working to change your surroundings, He is working to change your soul. And when He is finished, you won't just come out of the fire, you'll come out refined, restored, renewed, and stronger than you've ever been before. Keep trusting, keep standing. The hand of God is upon your life, and nothing can stop what He has set in motion. So now I say to every heart that is listening, stand up within your soul, rise not with the strength of man, but with the power of faith, shake off the dust of doubt, cast away the garments of fear. You were not created to live in despair. You were not formed from the dust to walk defeated. You were shaped by the will of the Almighty, destined for divine purpose, carved out of eternity by the hands of God Himself. And if that God who split the seas, who commands the winds, who names every star, if that God is with you, then who or what can truly stand against you? Let this be the moment where your soul shifts, where your tears turn into fuel, where your silence becomes sacred strength, where your pain transforms into purpose. Whatever you've been carrying, lay it at the feet of God. The weight, the worry, the regrets, the questions, release it all. God does not need your perfection. He desires your surrender. He does not require your explanation. He waits for your trust. And when you finally let go and give it fully to Him, the heavens begin to move on your behalf. Search your heart. Look deep within. What are you still holding on to that God is asking you to release? What part of your life are you trying to control, fix, or force? Let it go. Trust does not mean you stop trying. It means you stop trying alone. Invite God into the middle of your mess. Let Him take the wheel. Let Him shape the outcome. Let Him carry the burden. You've been walking in your strength long enough. Now walk in His. Let every breath you take from this moment forward be a declaration, I trust God. I trust God when it's dark. I trust God when it's silent. I trust God when nothing makes sense. I trust that He is working behind every delay, weaving purpose through every setback, writing redemption into every broken chapter. Even when I don't feel it, God is near. Even when I can't see it, God is guiding. Even when I'm weak, God is strong. Let the fire in your heart be reignited. Let the doubts melt away under the weight of truth. You are not forgotten. You are not forsaken. You are held, led, known, and chosen. And the same God who began the work in you will finish it. Not partially, not halfway, not in scattered pieces or unfinished chapters, but in full, perfect, glorious completion. Because our God does not start what He cannot sustain. He does not speak promises He will not fulfill. So take this very moment, this sacred pause in time, and make it holy. Let your heart whisper the things your mouth is too weary to speak. Let your tears carry the weight of your surrender. Let your silence become a sanctuary where God meets you. And in that surrender, feel the shift. Feel the freedom. Feel the peace that makes no earthly sense. That is the presence of God. That is the gift of trust. That is the evidence of grace. Now walk forward from this moment, not with pride in your own strength, but with confidence in the one who carries you. Let your life become a living testimony, a vessel of fearless obedience, a radiant light in the shadows of this world. And when the questions come, when they ask how you endured the fire, how you stood through the storm, how you kept going when everything said stop, let your answer be simple. Let it be clear. Let it be powerful. I trusted God. That is your calling. That is your anchor. That is your legacy. So trust Him with all of it, with the seen and the unseen, with the answered and the still waiting, and watch what only God can do.